How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Coast to Coast Lifestyles with myself, Heather Kusiba with Windermere in the greater Seattle area. And then we have Cassie Webb with Elevate Real Estate over on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And today we're going to be kind of going through what closing costs look like in our areas. We have very different costs that go into it, slightly different expectations that go into it for each of our areas. So Cassie is going to kick us off with closing costs in Mississippi.
Yes, I'm super excited because we have not previewed each other's settlement statements, and I'm excited to see what is the same and what's different. I know because I've been in real estate so long. I remember before really the housing crisis and repercussions from that. So a lot of our forms and stuff are standardized now as opposed to previously. I'm going to show one today. It's a little bit different because it is a couple years old, but it's a good example, and I have permission to use it. So that's important. And so I'll kick it off with kind of what ours looks like. So first of all, I'm sure purchase price is going to be very different if you're not familiar with our show. I can't wait to see yours. But so we have the purchase price, and then we have the earnest money credit, which earnest money here, a lot of times you'll see, $500, $1,000. It's negotiable. So it can be any amount. I'm not going to say a particular amount is standard, but in this case, it was $1,000 and then the loan. And then we do see a lot of times seller credits where the seller's contributing for closing costs. We pay our taxes in arrears, which I'd be interested to hear about yours. So basically when a house sells here, the portion of the year that the seller owned it gets credited back to the buyer. And then the lender fees are going to be, obviously vary greatly but there's going to be some type of usually points, origination fees, appraisal, credit report, things like that. And then we pay our homeowner's insurance. We pay it into our escrow account a few months for homeowner's insurance and for property tax. And to start that escrow fund, we could talk about escrow another day. If people aren't familiar with that, that'd be cool. And then the lender is going to have a request title insurance. And so there is, a fee for that. And the title insurance, we should actually do an episode on title insurance. But it's extremely important. And so any lender I've dealt with, they require title insurance for them. And then the owner's title insurance is optional. However, I always just can't recommend it enough. And then you're going to have some exam prep fees, update fees, admin fees, settlement fees for the closing attorney. And then, the insurance binder fees, commission. I didn't put, amounts on there but in this case, there was some commission paid by the seller. And then just a couple deed recording fees, smaller fees, the homeowner's insurance. You can tell this is from a few years ago because it was $2,300. Now on this particular, home, it'd probably be more like $3,500, $4,500, something like that. And then you're always going to pay your interest. Prepaid interest will be for however many days are left in the month. I think that probably is going to be the same, Heather, between us. The lender goes ahead and collects those few days of interest, and then the payment would be due the first full month, the month after closing. So usually you have a little over a month or almost 2 months sometimes before your first payment is due. That's why right now, starting a few weeks ago, you saw, hey, buy a house now and you don't have a payment till next year, kind of a thing. And then in this case, we had some repairs and then a termite inspection. Well, actually, that was a termite treatment. So here termites are a major concern. In almost all of our contracts, you're going to see a termite inspection at least. And those are usually, around $100 or so. But in this case, I had a treatment. So I don't recall exactly, but it must have had some issues that need to be taken care of. So that's ours, and I'm dying to see yours.
Yeah, ours is definitely very similar with the way that it works out. So ours, so here's one that I got permission to share. It was a purchase price of $610,000. And fun fact, as far as pricing goes, this was in a 670 square foot condo, 1 bedroom. And that is considered a steal for the buyer because it was just a slower condo market for us at the time. So
mine was for a 4-bedroom, 2.5 large house with a pool.
To be fair too, like this is like in the city, like one of the best condos in downtown Bellevue. So, which at the time, like Amazon was moving into, and still now, Amazon's moving back into. Microsoft at the time was down there. They have since pulled their leases from downtown Bellevue, but like this is like the hot spot to live. So there's at least that. So it is more expensive than if you were to get it like 20 minutes east, say in like Sammamish. They'll be like not half the cost, but they'll be a little cheaper. Anyways, sorry, my dog like came over out of nowhere and is laying on my feet, and it's very warm and very cute. So that's why I keep looking down because it surprised me. Anyways, so for our taxes equal. Honestly, I know you mentioned it. So ours is on a sliding scale depending on what the price is, but it's like give or take 1% ish usually. For what taxes are for the home that you're in. But also, as you mentioned, like you're going to prepay or get a credit back depending on what time of year you're buying and taxes that have been paid. Same with HOA dues. So they if you're buying or selling a condo that is in an HOA or a home that's in an HOA, then you're also going to have prepaid dues or prorated dues. That show up. And then of course you have the payment, the payoff. So whether you have one loan, multiple loans, lien on the property for any reason, that's where that will end up showing up. And then, we have excise tax. And then we have the technology fees, which is basically what the county uses to process everything. And then like we have all of the title charges. So, the sales tax to them, settlement costs, all that. Pretty much it's mostly kind of, like you said, the same as yours, just a little bit different in the individual prices and the individual approach to it. And I know that we do and don't have some taxes that other states do. So you'll see a little bit of difference in the way that taxes work with us as well.
So you have, let's see. So your taxes are $1,300 a quarter, basically. Is that right?
So we pay twice a year. So I don't know why they show it as a quarter in this case, but yeah.
Yeah. So like, what do you roughly the taxes then on this were like $6,000 for property taxes?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, see,
give or take.
Than ours, I think in that example, taxes were like maybe $1,300 or $1,600, something like that for the year. So that's definitely, which to be expected because your prices are a lot higher than ours. For those that don't know or haven't followed us, my average price point runs around $250,000 here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and Heather's 1.8 now, 1.8 million.
We're not quite that high. I would say on the east side we're about 1.3 to 1.5 range. I haven't looked at this month's stats yet.
We're about to do
stats. We're in that range.
Catch us next week for stats. And you'll see. So so that's crazy. And then it looks like you've got kind of like some almost like sales taxes, which we do not have. So there's no sales tax on real estate here. There actually is. I don't know under what circumstance, but it's not customary that there's any kind of sales tax. I think there is some weird situation where you may. And then like, your title fees. I'm sure you're based on the loan, your loans are going to be higher typically, but I'm sure like lender fees and stuff like that are going to be pretty comparable as well. So it's very, very interesting. And where's your insurance? How much is your insurance typically there, homeowners?
Oh man, honestly, it varies so much depending on where you're at because we have so many wetland areas and we have so many farm areas and we have incorporated and unincorporated everywhere. I actually, off the top of my head, do not know the average because it varies so much.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know because I know y'all's insurance, I think, is probably a good bit cheaper than ours.
It is, yeah.
Cheaper taxes. So.
Yeah, I do remember I don't know if we covered it in an episode or if we covered it offline separately, but we did talk about like what your insurance looks like versus my home's insurance, like our very specific ones. And I do remember yours was significantly more expensive because you have the you have a lot more dangerous weather than we have, which hilariously enough, we basically had our version of a hurricane like 2 weeks ago, which completely devastated half the state. But we got scot-free. But
I'm sure you'll see that next year.
Yeah, we only get them like once every 20 years, which I didn't know this.
That's
but
cool.
yeah.
Well, I am excited to come back. Next week we'll be sharing our stats. And next month when we do stats will be great because we'll be able to do like year versus year, year over year stats for the whole year. Also coming up is our prediction review from last year and our predictions for next year. And that'll be super fun to dive into. Spoiler, I think next year is going to be super great for the real estate housing market. But anyway, we'll talk about that soon. So we will see you guys next week. Same time, same place.
Yeah.
Y'all have a great day.